Function at the bottom, I'll then know that you are requesting a question. You'll be promoted to the panellist, and then you'll be able to unmute yourself to ask a question. We're going to start with Gary Kay and Gary Potter, or even at Sky Sports News.
There you go. I think I'm unmuting myself. Can you hear me?
Can hear you, Gary.
Yeah. Is that the shot? That side on one?
I can't see any shot here.
Yeah, that's the right shot, Gary.
Okay. Right. I just wanted to check on any injury updates, Frank. I've got a list, or you can go through it yourself, whichever's easier.
Go on, you can go through it if you want. I'll tick them off.
Yeah. Okay. Ben Chilwell.
Ben Chilwell's not ready for the game.
And Christian Pulisic.
Christian Pulisic is not ready for the game. Similar to Ben, hopefully we hope that they are training and progressing over the next week or so.
Hakim Ziyech.
Hakim Ziyech is also not ready for the game. Same story.
Not sounding good, is it? Timo Werner.
Timo Werner's fit.
Okay. And in terms of Thiago Silva, is there any chance we can see him against Liverpool?
No, Thiago has been training with us for the last 3 or 4 days, and we're just working with him on his fitness at the moment. So Liverpool will come too soon for him.
So is Liverpool an early chance, a very early chance for you to make a statement, or New Chelsea to make a statement?
I don't feel like it's the game of making a statement. I think it's second game into the season. We have one win, which was a hard-fought win at Brighton, in a game where we were probably in pre-season zone in terms of our fitness because of the situation of how we haven't had players or quarantines or international breaks. So now we take on what were the best team in the country last season, and it's a nice challenge for us to go head-to-head with them. I think we played pretty well head-to-head with them last year. Maybe not always getting the right result we felt we deserved. So it's a challenge for us to try and get 3 points. It's simple as that against a very good opposition.
Very early, so it's probably not the fairest of questions. But in your opinion, from what you've seen so far, the changes that have been made to various clubs in the window, are Liverpool still going to be the team to beat if you want to win the title?
I don't want to comment on favourites to win the title. I think that's probably a job more for people who work in and around it. Football and pundits maybe, but for me it's very clear to understand the quality of Liverpool and Manchester City. Over the last few seasons they have pulled away, but there are a lot of clubs in and around that are progressing and always moving forward, so I think it's going to be competitive up there. Of course, those two are fantastic teams.
This way you come into the game, particularly into the coaching game, these kind of matches.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. I think as a player, I always felt that the adrenaline and the feeling for a game of this level with a team as good as Liverpool would always put more in the game. And as a manager and a coach, you understand that yourself. Not only are we going up against a great team, I'm going up against a fantastic coach. So you want to do well in them. That's what we're in it for.
Last one, please, Gary.
Okay, I just wanted to really ask you about the return of Gareth Bale. Does that change the picture at all, do you think, in the fight for the top 4?
Well, Gareth Bale's an incredible player, incredible individual talent who we remember very well from his Premier League days at Tottenham. We've seen from afar the incredible success he's had at Real Madrid, and if he does come to Tottenham, which I keep seeing that is virtually going to happen soon, then I think he's going to be a big addition to their squad. Of course, they've got very good individuals at Tottenham. They're going to be a team that we'll be expecting to challenge in and around the Champions League places and above, and they have fantastic individuals, and if they get Gareth Bale, then they add one for sure. He's one of the best players in the world, in my opinion, over the last 4 or 5 seasons.
John Southall, Park.
Hi Frank.
Hi John.
What's your impression been of Thiago Silva this week? Do you think he's the player who can turn into that leader that you've possibly been looking for both on and off the pitch?
Yeah, he's certainly a leader. He's not going to sort of turn into a leader. I think he'll bring that with him by nature, and he doesn't speak the language that great, which is something that we will work on very quickly, but we have a lot of players in the squad who are multilingual, can help with that. But by presence, by attitude in training, by the quality of the player, he of course will command respect, and I look forward to having him around. He seems already very engaging and intent on trying to help the team, and that's all you can ask for as a coach.
On the Liverpool game, there does now seem to be quite a lot of needle in these matches. It probably went back to when you were a player, obviously you and Jurgen on the touchline in the last game. It does appear to be turning into a major rivalry now, doesn't it, Chelsea-Liverpool?
I don't know, it depends how much you want to make of it. I think if you're two teams that are pushing and driving and trying to be successful, we had it in our years probably where I was a player here. Chelsea were competing to win the leagues, Liverpool not so much. In the Champions League we drew each other a lot, and those games are ultra competitive and they were all very difficult for us always. In the modern day terms it looks slightly different because of the last few years where Liverpool have been fighting at the top of the league, and last year they win it. So competition like that, where we're now in a position where we're trying to improve and trying to close that gap, means that we're both squads, both coaches, both clubs and fan bases, etc., that are very driven to try and win, and that's what the Premier League is all about.
And how big a challenge is it for you to try and get the balance right in your side, given now all the assets that you have at your disposal?
Yeah, that's a challenge for I think any coach in the Premier League, because every squad now has to have 20 plus players to handle, particularly if you're fighting on all levels of competition, to handle the endurance test that is the season. So trying to find the right balance of the squad is something that I think last year we were searching for a lot, because we couldn't make, and I couldn't make, changes that would have maybe changed how we look slightly and maybe would have brought us some, what I maybe felt would be better balance. I think this season we hopefully will move towards having a real good balance between the squad, but we must give that some time, because when we've brought in players now, we haven't had a pre-season, there's no doubt about that. It will take some time to get the team working in the direction I want it to.
Moose, talk sport. Moose?
Yeah, hi Frank, how are you?
Hi Moose, yeah, good, thanks.
You were close to Liverpool last year in the Super Cup home, where won the free kick from Trent Alexander-Arnold, won the game, and in that crazy game at the end of the season at Anfield. How much closer do you think you're going to be this season, albeit, as you've just said, you haven't had much of a pre-season, from what you saw at Brighton?
I wouldn't relate it to Brighton, Moose. I think that the positive of Brighton was that we showed a real resilience and an organisation about us, and we won a game against a very difficult opposition that I think were ahead of us in fitness levels. So there are a lot of things I know we can improve on from Brighton. I'm very aware of that, and the players will feel that, and some of them afterwards felt like they were striving for fitness because of lack of games and training time. So I think there's a long way to go before we start to compare where we were last year, where we are this year, particularly with a team like Liverpool. They were the outstanding team last year. We competed in every game. You missed out the FA Cup game there where we won against them, but against Liverpool, they're always going to give you a really tough match. They're there where they are for a reason last season. So we will have to push the limits to try and close that gap. That's the challenge that's in front of us.
Jurgen Klopp today has played down that there's any animosity between you and him. Says he only sees you a couple of times a year, and he's sure you're a really nice bloke. It does seem to be that people are making the most of this little clash you had on the sidelines last season.
Yeah, I suppose they are. That's probably the nature of the world that we live in. There's a lot of airtime for you on TalkSport to have to fill with these sort of rivalries. So I understand that sometimes that they can be scrutinised in every possible way. I just reiterate what Jurgen Klopp said from his part. I've got a huge amount of respect for him as a manager. I always have done. What he's done in Liverpool in the course of time that he's been there has been incredible, and that's him. That's on him as the focal point of the club and the individual talent they have in that squad that they've brought in. So there's nothing in it for me. The competitive nature of the 90 minutes can always slightly boil over in different directions. The respect I have for Jurgen Klopp would never change.
Jonathan Overham, PLP.
Hi Frank. Is there an update on the Edouard Mendy situation? I mean, is it live? Is it happening?
No, there's no update for you.
Okay, but I mean, is there anything? Is it still going on behind?
No, there's not. Again, there's nothing I would want to talk about of Mendy.
Nick Virrell, PA, please.
Hi Frank, thanks for your time. Obviously, a few of the pundits on Sky had some things to say about Ruben Loftus-Cheek and suggesting that he hadn't taken his chances. But we all know that he's had really tough time with injury, and he's still working his way back, isn't he? What were your thoughts on that? Do you think it was a pretty unfair assessment of Ruben? Do you think it's too soon to judge him, given everything he's had to deal with and the fact that you've touched on it before, haven't you, that he is working his way back still?
Yeah, I know Ruben's story, probably second best at how he knows it, but Ruben had a terrible injury, an injury that he worked very hard to come back from over the course of last season. Was just about fit to start playing under 23 games when lockdown came in, worked incredibly hard in restart, got a start against Aston Villa, was due to start against Bayern Munich in the last game of the season, but had a bit of an issue on the day of the game. Trained brilliantly to get fit again for the start of the season, and I think the if there is harsh criticism of him in the game against Brighton, then it is certainly very harsh, because to come back from an injury like he has been difficult for him, and he's put a lot of hours into it, and he's a hugely talented player, a great lad. So there will be lots more to come from Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Unfortunately, the nature of this game is very reactionary, and people will say it as they see it, but knowing Ruben's story behind the scenes, then he's fought back really hard to get where he is, and he's a very, very talented player.
Okay, last two, one each, Jerry Cox and then Carrie Brown to finish, please.
Hi Frank. Timo Werner and Kai Havertz both did interviews this week, and both suggested it's important for them to find the right positions in the team. Do you feel they're in the right positions at the moment, or will that be a matter of seeing how they go?
Well, we've played one game, so it's hard to. They both have a flexibility in how they play for their previous clubs. Kai Havertz played probably pretty much most of his games as a right-sided winger, a number 10, and occasionally as a number 9, a number 8 earlier in his career. Timo Werner's played as a left winger, one of two strikers, a sole striker for both country and for club. So, of course, that's going to be something that will remain slightly flexible. We'll try and find the right balance of the team as a whole, and they're going to add a lot, no matter what position they play in.
Okay, Carrie Brown to finish, please.
Frank, one thing you and Jurgen Klopp have in common is your connection to the fans. We go into another match day behind closed doors. The Premier League issued a statement to the government asking them to remain committed to the 1st of October for a return to fans at a limited number. You were at the test event with Brighton, so your players got a sense of what it was like to have the fans back. How much do you back that statement with the Premier League? How desperate are you and your players to have the fans back now?
Well, we're desperate to have the fans back. I mean, who isn't on either side? Fans, and for us who work in the game included, because this is part of the beauty of the Premier League is the rivalry and how much we love our clubs and love working for our clubs. I certainly do. And it's not a conversation that I can go too deep on at the moment, because safety and health, as we've found out in the last 6 months, is absolutely number one consideration for everyone. And then when you go one level further, then you say, yes, we want to come back and watch football. So the right balance has to be struck. I understand the Premier League are very keen for it. I understand the government want to do it in the right way. Let's hope that we can do it safely and do it at the right time and the right pace, and get our game back to where it was before. That's as I say, that's probably about as much as I can say on it.
Okay, that's the end of the broadcast section. If you could turn the camera off, we're going to move on to the dailies.